This last week we had Parshas Shelach. And it's a very, very important parsha for us to learn. What happened in Parshas Shelach? It's a very, very difficult parsha. The whole story is difficult for us to understand. The chet, the sin of the Meraglim, the spies, the chet of the Meraglim caused Klal Yisrael, when they took, the spies came back. Moshe Rabbeinu, let's recap a little bit. I'm sure we all know the storyline. Moshe Rabbeinu sent out, the people came to Moshe Rabbeinu in Parshas Devarim, V'tikravu Elai Kulchem. All the people came to Moshe Rabbeinu and they said, we want to send spies to check out the land. Check out the land. And Moshe says, so ask the Kodesh Baruch Hu. Kodesh Baruch Hu says, Shelach L'cho. Whatever you want, Shelach L'cho, it's up to you. So he sent out the spies to reconnoiter the Eretz Yisroel. And they came back. And they said, yes, it's an Eretz Zovas Cholav Advash. But the people are so strong. The giants and the walled cities, we can't do it. And the people cried, and they said, we don't want to go in, we want to go back to Mitzrayim, and because of that, Kadosh Baruch Hu put a gezerah on them. So you don't want to go into Eretz Yisrael? Okay, you're not going to go into Eretz Yisrael. And they had to remain in the desert for 40 years, and their children, any children who were 20 or below, so that means who hit 60. So the people came in were now between 40 and 60 from the children. But everybody else, all the other men died. The women lived. They didn't have this gezerah, but all the men died. So it was from that generation of Yetzias Mitzrayim, there were no men over 60. The women were not in the gezerah. They had a natural death, whatever their...
Meaning, but they still listened to the Meraglim. Meaning
they were able to get in. You know.
But were they part of the Meraglim? Like were they?
No.
They didn't believe in it?
No. It said no. Only the men. That's what the Chazal tell us. Tell that to your wife. See how great she. The emunah of the women, the Klais, the Yiddish mama. They didn't believe all this. It was only the men. So, what did they do wrong? They were told to go and to reconnoiter, and they came back, and they got frightened. I mean, what do you expect them to do? So what exactly, what's happening? There's something obviously much deeper here than meets the eye. They were sent on a mission to spy out the land. They came back with a report, exactly what they did. Moshe told them to give them a report, and they came back and they gave a report. And they were punished because of the report. But Moshe Rabbeinu told them to give a report. And now they're being punished for the report. There are many, many takes on this problem, on this issue, exactly what happened. We'll start off with we're going to mention two of them. There's a Sefer Akedah Yitzchak. He's called the Baal Akedah. Baal Akedah says, if you look in the Psukim, what did Moshe Rabbeinu tell them? Moshe Rabbeinu told them, go check out the land. What does the fruit look like? Bring back samples of the fruit, which they did. Check out the people. Are they strong? Are they weak? The cities, are they fortified cities? Or they're open cities? What does the land look like? Is it a good land or is it a weak land? Is it, in short, is it Eretz Zovas Cholav Udvash. That's what they were supposed to say. They weren't asked for any editorial comments. So they came back, they went and they came back and they brought these. Everybody knows, like, on Carmel, you got the grapes, the cluster of grapes on the pole. You have 8 people carrying a pole of grapes. That's a giant cluster of grapes. And one guy holding a rimon, a pomegranate, it was like three watermelons. That's how big it was, like the size of 3 watermelons. Giant. It was giant fruit. It was out of the out of the ordinary is mild. And they came back, and the people are giants. We saw giants there, and we saw fortified cities. Okay. Ephes, we can't do it. Ki chazaku mimenu. He's stronger than us. These people are stronger than us. The country is stronger than us, and we can't go in. Who asked you for your opinion? Who asked you for your opinion? Moshe Rabbeinu sent you to bring back, like a spy. A spy should go out and reconnoiter and say, this is what I saw, and now the central command will decide whether or not, exactly how to deal with the information. Who asked you for your opinion? And that was the Chet of the Meraglim. So the Baal HaKedah says, it's like, I'll give you a mashal. I'll give you a mashal. I want to buy a suit. So I said, I saw an advertisement for a suit. It sounds right. It looks good in the picture. I want you to go over there to the store, to the tailor store. I want you to tell me, look at the color, look at the fabric, see how it's made, if it's tailored properly. Measure it, see if it's got good measurements, and how expensive it is, and come back and give me a report. He says, it's exactly what you want. It's a blue suit. It's tailored superbly, and everything. But listen, it's the color's not for you. That color, it's not going to look good. You're not going to look good in that suit. It's not the right color for you, and the price is way overpriced. Way overpriced. You shouldn't buy it. I didn't ask you for your opinion. I asked you to come back and tell me about the suit. I already decided I want that color. I already knew about the price. I decided the price is okay. What are you sticking your nose in? So that was the Chet of the Meraglim, according to the Baal HaKedah. That they all of a sudden became big Bali Gaiva. There's a stipler in this. He says something very similar. It says they were kosher. The Gemara says that they were kosher. Rashi brings down the measures. They were kosher when they left, and then because they were appointed as special emissaries, these now they became dignitaries. So it went to their head, and they said, "Oh, so we can give a daya." A guy all of a sudden gets shot up in his esteem, and he starts becoming a daya zoggy. He starts giving his opinion on everything. Who asked you for your opinion? You're subservient to Moshe Rabbeinu.
Open up the newspaper.
That's the Baal HaKedah.
Radio station.
The Shlor doesn't like this. He's not happy with this.
Does that mean that it was coming from a place of Gaiva?
According to the Stipler, yes. Okay, exactly what their chet was and how it works, and there are a lot of different takes on it. There's a Zohar. I'm not even going to get into the Mesil Shoshorim with the Zohar, but yeah, there was. Who asked you for? According to the Baal HaKedah, and he's a Kadmon, so he says, yeah, it was from Gaiva. It's from Gaiva. The Shlor takes a different approach. When Moshe Rabbeinu asked them for their opinion, Moshe Rabbeinu knew that they're going to give their opinion. I mean, he asked such questions. Are they big? Are they strong? What do the cities look like? What does the fruit look like? So he knew there was this possibility. They're going to give an opinion. What was he expecting? And they came back and they said, "Boss," this is the Kli Yakar says, "Boss, this is exactly what you said. Eretz Zovas Cholavud Vash. Look at this gigantic, this extraordinary, out of this universe fruit. And the people are like that. The people are, the giants, and the cities are like that. So Moshe Rabbeinu knew that they could give an opinion. He was expecting them to give a positive opinion. He had in his mind that their mission was to go and to present the facts and say, yes, the people of Canaan are mighty. But with God's help, these armies, the Canaanite armies, would be delivered into the hands of the Jewish people. Moshe expected the spies to remind the people, listen, these were Anoshim Chashuvim, the spies. The Meraglim were Anoshim Chashuvim. They were Nasiim. They were Talmidei Chachamim. They were heads of the people. Didn't they come out of Egypt? They came out of Mitzrayim. They saw a year's worth, 10 plagues, 10 months. A year's worth, 10 plagues. The whole country of Egypt was decimated by Hashem's hand. Miracles, the blood. They were laughing at all the Egyptians when the frogs were croaking, and croaking in their stomachs. It was a sight to see, right? All the Egyptians are scratching themselves from the lice, and all the Yidden were having a blast looking at this, yeah. And then the bored and the locust, and then when they got out, the Makas B'chayris did not hit Klal Yisrael at all. They brought the Korban Pesach. And then they got out, and then they already been there. They had already been in a dangerous situation. All of a sudden, 7 days later, they're boxed in at the Red Sea. They got the sea in front of them. They got the Egyptian army behind them. And according to the Medrash, there are millions of soldiers coming, mamish, just bloodthirsty, coming to rip them apart. And they got the sea in front of them. And the Kadosh Baruch Hu did a miracle, and he split the sea. And they got through, and all of a sudden the sea comes right down on all the Mitzrayim. And the whole army was drowned in the sea. And they saw it. They saw the whole thing. They ate the matzah they came out with for 30 days. That itself was, we talked about this. They ate the matzah for 30 days. And that itself was a miracle. Since when does matzah last for 30 days? I mean, it was enough. They didn't come out with so much. No, they didn't come out with so much kamut. They didn't have a trunk full of matzahs. They had a couple of matzahs. I mean, but the couple of matzahs, they had 3 days worth of matzahs, and then it lasted for a month. And then when they complained, they got the mun, they got the quail, they had a water. They asked for water. They got the water. The Bear Miriam, it wasn't just this little tiny, mayan. You go to Ein Gedi and you see a little mayan, there's a little bit of water. It was gushing. Gallons and gallons of water. Enough to feed 3 million people. The Klal Yisrael was 3 million people. With the Erev Rav was even more. Maybe to 5 million people. It was amazing. It's gushing gallons and gallons of water, and wherever they went, it followed them. This rock just followed them. Wherever they got to a new place, all of a sudden the rock's there. There's the rock. So they saw all these miracles. So now they're going into Eretz Canaan. There's going to be more miracles. You saw the miracles. What are you getting so afraid of? That's what Moshe Rabbeinu was expecting. That's what Moshe Rabbeinu was expecting. And they disappointed him. He got a report back. According to the laws of nature, according to a natural way, we cannot win the battle against the land of Canaan. So Moshe Shapiro Zatzal, he asked the question, what was Moshe Rabbeinu's Havamina? Why did Moshe Rabbeinu knew that the Meraglim could make a mistake. He knew there's a Yetzer Hara, as big as they were, as great as they were, as much of Muna as they had, they can make a mistake. There's a Yetzer Hara. Don't put a person into a Nisoyin. He's going to see people who are giants. They were giants. Og Melech HaBashar, whether it's an exaggeration or not exaggeration, it says Moshe Rabbeinu just came up to his ankle. That's how tall he was. But again, whether it's an exaggeration or not exaggeration, I'm not going to go into that. But these were giants. They were the remnants of the two Malachim came down, and they had children who were giants. They were superhuman people. And the cities were fortified cities. It was impossible to break through. That's how strong the cities were. Al pi derech hateva is not possible. So why put the Meraglim in a situation of Nisoyin? Don't go into Nisoyin. We say, I'll tavi lidei Nisoyin. Don't bring me into Nisoyin. We daven every day. Don't bring me into a situation of Nisoyin. So why did Moshe Rabbeinu put them into a situation of Nisoyin? So Moshe Shapiro answers, yes, that's true. In other areas of life, never tempt the Yetzer Hara, never put yourself into a situation of test. Try to always maneuver yourself so that you're not in a situation of Nisoyin. Don't put yourself that your faith is going to be tested. Eretz Yisrael is different. Eretz Yisrael was different. And this has to be clearly spelled out. That's what Moshe Rabbeinu wanted to make a point. Before gaining Eretz Yisrael, they have to come to the realization that without the Ribono Shel Olam, they are not going to be able to go in. If you think that you're going to go into Eretz Yisrael b'derech hateva, forget it. Eretz Yisrael is not b'derech hateva. Eretz Yisrael works with the Ribono Shel Olam. Eretz Eini Hashem, it's got Eini Hashem Aleha, Meireshis Shana Arach Rishona. The eyes of Hashem are watching Eretz Yisrael from the beginning of the year to the end of the year, the whole year. It's got special hashgacha pratis in Eretz Yisrael. It's a different place. And Moshe Rabbeinu understood, if Klal Yisrael was not on that madrega, they wouldn't be able to get into Eretz Yisrael. That's Moshe Shapiro's take on this. They needed the spies to get on that level? He was expecting the spies to be on that level.
Even though they see all these...
So just don't risk it at all. Don't send them at all.
So that was his question. Don't send them at all. But he said, if they're not on the level, then according to Moshe Shapiro, if they're not on the level, then we have to reconsider exactly what to do. I have to ask the Ribono Shel Olam what to do. Because they have to have Amunah in the Kodesh Baruch Hu, total Amunah, that we can do it. Otherwise, we're not going to be able to succeed. It was a test.
Test to see if they were
on the level. That's the way Moshe Shapiro learns Pshat.
And they failed.
And they failed. So we have to understand something. We started these shiurim many moons ago. It was a year and a half, 2 years, I forget. I don't even know where we're holding, how many.
Century.
A basic concept in B'tochen is the famous machloikis between Reb Shimon Bar Yochai, and Rabbi Yishmael. And we've discussed this. There are two paths in B'tachin. The Brisker Rov talks about this. Chaim Volozhin talks about this. There's the path of Shimon Bar Yochai, which is 100% total B'tachin, without doing any hishtadlus whatsoever. The Gra goes in this Shita. The Baal Shem goes in the Shita. The great Hasidic Rebbes go in the Shita. Rabbi Elimelech went in the Shita. Rabbi Zusha went in the Shita. And then there's the Shita of Rabbi Yishmael. And the Gemara paskins that for us normal folk, we have to go like Rabbi Yishmael. We have to go b'olam hateva. We have to go with olam hateva and trust in the Kadosh Baruch Hu, but we can't get out of the natural way of doing things. You have to have a parnasa. You have to have a way of making a living, and you trust in the Kadosh Baruch Hu. And and it says many people tried like Shimon Bar Yochai and it didn't work. Many people tried like Rabbi Yishmael, the Gemara in Brachas, like Rabbi Yishmael, and for those who tried like Rabbi Yishmael, it worked. And that's the psak.
I did both, it didn't work.
Huh?
I did both, it didn't work.
Wait, but that means it works for some people one way and it works for some people.
Let's not get into details, but we had last week. Hakadosh Baruch Hu is very. He set up the world that it works b'derech hateva. This is the shita of Rabbeinu Yonah. This is the shita of Rabbeinu Bachia. The world, Hakadosh Baruch Hu set up the world with derech hateva. There's a Ramban on this, on the Parsha Shelach and Rabbeinu Bachia, on the Parsha Shelach, that really they were supposed to go into Eretz Yisrael b'derech hateva and rely on the Kodesh Baruch Hu, and that's why it wasn't the chet for them to ask for the meraglim, because al pi derech hateva you do meraglim. That is also a derech in derech Hashem. So how do we explain all this? So I always used to think that there are two derachim in avodas Hashem. There's in B'tachin, in Emunah B'tachin. There's the derech of Rabbi Yishmael, and there's the derech of Shimon Bar Yochai. I came to the realization there are four derachim.
You're even more confused.
Four derachim. There's a medrash, and it's also a zohar. It's a Yalkut Shemaini, and it's also a zohar. I saw it in the zohar, and they all bring it back. The four malachim. There were four malachim. Each one, it says, Masha tovazeh, lo tovazeh. Each asked, each demanded of themselves differently than the other. They had a different mahalach in their way of running the melucha. There was David HaMelech. Yeah.
Chizkiyahu.
It was David, Asa, Yoshaphat, and Chizkiyahu. David HaMelech said, Erdoi foivai v'asigein. I will run after my enemies, and I'm going to chop off their heads. I'm going to chop off the heads. Kodesh Baruch Hu says, yes, I'm doing it for you. And David HaMelech, Yakim, David me'aneshev ada orev. For a day and a half, from the evening to the next evening, to the next morning. A day and a half, he was chopping off heads. He was battling them. And he succeeded. He succeeded. That was in his battle against Amalek. His battle against Amalek. Asa came. He was attacked by Assyria. He was attacked by Assyria. Oh no, he was attacked by the Kushim. Asa was attacked by the Kushim, I think. He says, Ein bi koyach laharoig. I don't have koyach to kill them. I can't do battle with them. Instead, I'm going to run after them, and Kodesh Baruch Hu, you're going to take care of them. So Kodesh Baruch Hu says, okay, it's a deal. So that's what I'm going to do. And Asa sent his forces to run after them. but they didn't never caught up with them. And then something happened, and they all got COVID. They all came down with some sort of a plague, and they all died. That was Asa. Along comes Yehoshaphat. He says, I don't have koyach. I can't kill them. I can't do battle with them. I can't even run after them. I'm going to sit and I'm going to say Shira. I'm going to say Tehillim. I'm going to say Hallel. And Kodesh Baruch Hu, you're going to do the rest. Kodesh Baruch Hu says, yes, I'm going to do it. And the Kodesh Baruch Hu, so he started singing, and the Kodesh Baruch Hu took care of them. That was by Yehoshaphat. Along comes Chizkiyahu by Sancheriv. He says, I don't have koyach. I can't kill them. I can't run after them. I don't even have koyach to say Shira. I'm going to go to sleep, and the Kodesh Baruch Hu, you're going to take care of it. He went to sleep on that night. He woke up in the morning. They're all dead. A plague. Kodesh Baruch Hu smote the whole army of Sancheriv with a plague. It was over. So I have a question for you. Those 4 malachim, who had the most betachin?
David the Melech.
Who had the most betachin? So it's machlokes. It's machlokes.
You know that. I always say Machlokes is the best.
Now, in this case,
You usually win.
Maybe it's a machlokes. It was a machlokes.
But if you say it's Machlokes, then you have to give name. Then you have to say.
the Orach Chaim HaKadosh, the Orach Chaim HaKadosh says, Avada, Chizkiyahu is the best. He had total betachin on the Kodesh Baruch Hu. Kodesh Baruch Hu, I'm going to sleep, and the Kodesh Baruch Hu is doing it. Shimon Bar Yochai. Sound like Shimon Bar Yochai. Don't get mixed in. Leave it all up to the Rebbeinu Shalom. Leave it all up to the Rebbeinu Shalom. What are you mixing in for? That's the Orach Chaim HaKadosh. And it brings a raya that this is the highest level of betachin. From where does it bring a raya? This is the highest level of betachin? From Kriyas Yamsuf. By Kriyas Yamsuf, they were standing by the sea, and they're petrified, and they're davening. And Moshe says to the people, don't be afraid. Hisyatzvu urub Yeshuas Hashem. Just stand there, and you'll see the Yeshuas Hashem. Asher yasa lachem hayom, asher re'isim es Mitzrayim hayom. You're seeing Mitzrayim today, you're never going to see them again. Hashem yilochem lochem v'atem tacharishum. Hashem is going to do battle for you, and you are just going to be quiet. Don't do a thing. Don't even daven. Don't even daven. Just go.
Who says that? What do you mean not to?
That's the pasuk. Tacharishun, be quiet.
Lacharition is mean don't say like Tehillim or anything.
Nothing. You look in the Meforshim over there. They were davening, and Moshe, Kodesh Baruch Hu told Moshe better tell them to stop davening. Just go, have betachin. And the schus of betachin, the Orach Chaim HaKadosh, and it's also a grua. The grua says it that their betachin was higher than the madrega of tefillah. Tefillah gets to a very, very high madrega. Tefillah has a madrega that it gets to in Shemayim. Betachin gets to a higher madrega. And the schus of their betachin got to the higher madrega, and therefore they were zeicha to a nes of kriyas yamsuf oimenera. So as the Orach Chaim says, we see over here by the Dalit Sadiq, he calls them Dalit Sadiqim. He says, Avada, Chizkiyahu had the most betachin. This was the madrega of Moshe Rabbeinu. Atem tachrishum. Even tefillah ain't atem. Tefillah doesn't have a koyach to do anything. And that was Chizkiyahu. He says, I can't, he said, Yehoshaphat, he davened. He said, tell him, I have to go to sleep. So they're on the madrega of Chizkiyahu Melech. Even tefillah wasn't high enough for their betachin. They needed a higher betachin. So Chizkiyahu had a higher betachin. It doesn't sit with me. I mean, who am I to argue with the Orach Chaim HaKadosh? And like everybody assumed, of course, David HaMelech is the one with the most betachin. What's pshat? So Rabbi Yerucham Lvovich, he explains the four malachim with tzaddikim, and they were afraid. They had pure betachin. Now, when you act with betachin, derech hateva with betachin, but as soon as you mix in any type of derech hateva, any type of action, there's the danger that you're going to at least think somewhere in the recesses of your heart, I did it. It's my power, my prowess, my plans, my genius. I did it. Somewhere in the even if you don't express it, but somewhere in the recesses of your heart, there's that danger. David HaMelech was on such a high madrega when he was chopping heads off, and he was a trained soldier, a trained general, with the maneuvers and the strategies. It wasn't him. Everything was totally Hashem. I'm not doing anything. I'm just acting. I'm a robot. I'm doing a mitzvah. Hashem said to do this mitzvah. I'm doing a mitzvah, swinging my hands with my sword, and the Kadosh Baruch Hu happened to put a few enemy in my way, and they got their heads chopped off. I didn't do anything. David HaMelech was fearless. When he was a shepherd, he was attacked by a bear, and he was attacked by a lion, and he killed him with his bare hands because he was fearless, because he believed and he had such faith in a Kadosh Baruch Hu, nothing could budge him. So he says, I'm going to go after the enemy, the Amalek, and a Kadosh Baruch Hu was with him, and he succeeded. Along comes Asa. Asa says, if I do that, he was a big Baal B'tachin, he was a big tzaddik, but if I do that, a little thought is going to creep into my head of, look how good I am. Look how good a soldier I am. I'm a good soldier. Well, I'm a good general. We had good strategies. We outmaneuvered them. I'm afraid of that. Koichevi Yotzim Yadi is the most dangerous thing in the world. I can't do it because I'm afraid it's going to creep into my head, and I don't want that danger. I want to retain my purity of Amunah and B'tachin. I will run after them, and HaKadosh Baruch Hu, you're going to take care of them. Yoshaphat said, even if I run after them, I'm going to say, aha, I had such a good army, it scared them off. So I can't run after them. So again, it's going to creep into my head, Koichevi Yotzim Yadi. So I'm going to sit, and I'm going to say Tehillim, and HaKadosh Baruch Hu, you're going to take care of it. HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, okay. Chizkiyahu HaMelech says, I'm not even on that madrega. If I say Tehillim, I'm going to say, the fact that I'm such a tzaddik, the power of my Tehillim destroyed the enemy. My Tehillim has the power to destroy. It's my Tehillim. It's my tefillos. That's how much they were afraid of Koichev Yotzim Yadi. That's how much they were afraid of Koichev Yotzim Yadi. Therefore, he went to sleep. It wasn't that he was the biggest madreg of B'tachin. He was the lowest madreg of B'tachin of those tzaddikim.
Who says that? That's a pshat of who?
Rabbeinu Yerucham Lvovich. Michtav Eliyahu has a take on it, slightly different, but along the same lines. And Chaim Friedlander says basically the same thing. Basically the same thing. The Bali Musa today, they all say basically the same thing. It's just Rabbi Yerucham says it very clear, very clear. He says the biggest, this is a very, very big, he says Ha'ara Neirah. What's the makor of apikorsis? So we think makor of apikorsis is that there's no such thing as Lamala Min Teva. No such thing as miracles. I don't believe in God. He says, no, the biggest fear, even a greater type of apikorsis and minus, is koichi v'yotzim yodi. I did it. I did it. And that's the biggest danger in our career in Amun and B'tochin. The koich v'yotzim yodi. So I'm thinking about this, and I came out. So there are 4 madregas of B'tochin. The Orach Chaim was right. The highest madrega B'tochin is absolute, getting your B'tochin ad l'mayla min ateva. And there is a B'tochin of l'mayla min ateva. And that was the B'tochin of Klal Yisrael at the Kriyas Yamsuf. That they had so much B'tochin, it did a Kriyas Yamsuf, it did a miracle, to do miracles. L'mayla min ateva, it creates miracles which are totally unnatural. Kriyas Yamsuf was totally unnatural. But that's very, very rare. We can't live in that level. We have to live in the Olam HaTeva. But on the Olam HaTeva, the highest Madrega is really, Kadosh Baruch Hu wants you to live in Teva. Why did He create the world in Teva? He created nature, used nature, but believe it's the Rebbeinu Shalom. And that was David HaMelech. He did everything al pi Teva. But he had total control. I'm not doing anything. I'm not doing anything. And that was the level of the Arba Malachim. So of the Arba Malachim, he was the highest. Then we get to Chizkiyahu Melech. He says, I'm afraid to do anything. I'm afraid to do anything. Which leads us to, that was in Bayis Rishon. So in Bayis Rishon, they were on a level of, they saw Kadosh Baruch Hu, they were able to live with being afraid of Koich V'Yotzim Yodi with full Amun and B'tochin. Now we're after both Churbanis Abayis, and we have, after the Churban Bayis Sheni, we have 2 Gedolim, Rav Shimon bar Yochai, and Rabbi Yishmael. Rav Shimon bar Yochai is very similar to Chizkiyahu Melech. He says, don't do anything. Have full faith in the Kodesh Baruch Hu. Have full faith in his Kodesh Baruch Hu. That's Shimon bar Yochai. That's the Madrega of Chanina ben Doisa. He didn't see any Teva. Misha Amar Shemen Shiadlik, Yom L'chaymet Shiadlik. Whoever said, Kodesh Baruch Hu said that Shemen should light, so the vinegar could light, and he had vinegar light till Motzi Shabbos. He made Avdal on the candles at Motzi Shabbos by his Maisa. That was the Madrega. So that's the Madrega of Chizkiyahu Melech, which is the Madrega of Shimon bar Yochai. We're not even on that Madrega. We're nowhere near it. We're on the Madrega Halavai. We're on the Madrega of Rabbi Yishmael. We have to, because we don't really believe it. We don't really believe it works. Forget about Koich V'Yotzim Yodi. We don't really believe it works.
That's why we pass nowadays, because we can't.
We're not on the Madrega. We can't do it. We can't get to that. We can't get to that Amunah. We can't get to that mindset.
But that level's higher than Rav Shimon bar Yochai.
What? No. It's not like David HaMelech. It's the lowest one. We have to work. Kodesh Baruch Hu, wants us to work within Teva. Don't deny Teva. Teva is there. You have to work within Teva. There's, you got to pay your bills. You got to eat. You got to have a house over your head. You got to send your kids to school. You got to buy clothing. You have a whole life to live. So you have to live within nature. Now you have to have betachon. How much betachon do we really have? Hashem help. I saw Gavaldik. Ben Sion Schaefer he has he gives shirim on B'tachin. He gives a lot of shirim. He gave a lot of shirim on B'tachin. He says, imagine this guy. Let's give me a name, Yankel. Imagine this guy, Yankel. Yankel is a good guy. He comes to davening every day. He's mamish on time for davening. He puts on his tefillin early. He comes early for davening. He says the korbanos. He davens like a mensch, and he doesn't run out. And after Aleinu Ein Kalakenu, whenever davening's over, so he wraps up his tefillin, and as he's wrapping up his tefillin, he says, Hashem, that was for you. Now this is for me. And he goes out and he goes off to work. Is he a Maimon or an Apikairos? He just left HaKadosh Baruch Hu in the shul. He says, that was for you. I have to pay my dues. If I daven properly, it's a kanas, it's a mas, it's a tax I have to pay. So I pay the tax every day. I daven nice. I have a proper tefillin. Okay, that's what I did for HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Now, this is for me. Now, don't bother me. I'm going to work. Now, I'm going to take... That's apikoursis. And how many of us, we think like that? Nobody thinks like that. No. Right?
Don't bother. Don't ruin it.
It says in the pasuk. Yeah, where is it? Whatever you do, know HaKadosh Baruch Hu. That's Mishlei. So Shlomo Melech said, whatever you do, Rabbeinu Yonah says, in every action that you do, every action that you want to do, when you're running out to business, after davening, don't leave HaKadosh Baruch Hu in the shul and say, that was for you, now this is for me. This is also for him. HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants you to be matzliach in business because he put you into this world. He wants you to make him a partner. B'chol derechecha deyehu. Bring HaKadosh Baruch Hu into a partnership with everything that you do. The Sitka said, Tzadok HaKoyin. Tzadok HaKoyin says, B'chol derechecha deyehu, dahu. Hey Vav, the last two letters of Hashem's name, Vav Hey. Backwards. Dahu. What's backwards? You can't see him, it's backwards. He's hiding in Teva. But whatever you do, Dayehu, Dahu. You should know HaKadosh Baruch Hu in whatever you do. Habetochen Misha Boteach HaKadosh Baruch Hu in everything. Now there are some people, Rabbeinu Yonah says, some people have, are you a Maimon? Do you believe? Yeah, sure, I believe. Everybody believes. Everybody believes. From a Yidden, we all believe. But in details, who's going to make the business deal for you? Who's going to get the contract that you need? Who's going to make sure everything is matzliach? Who's going to make sure you meet the right people at the right time? How many times you just happen to bump into somebody and happen to be the right person at the right time to get the... And when nothing goes right and HaKadosh Baruch Hu is being ma'akev it for some reason. Daven to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, take away the yikuf. And everything you do in the pratim, in every prat that you go through during the day, you should know HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So Rav Shapiro said that Eretz Yisrael is different. Eretz Yisrael is different. Eretz Yisrael is a different quality. And he brought a raya. The end of Chorban Bayis Rishon, at the beginning, right before, as Chorban Bayis Rishon was about to approach, Yirmiyahu Navi, HaKadosh Baruch Hu came to Yirmiyahu Navi and told him to buy a piece of land and make a big thing of it. He made a big tekes. He bought a piece of land and he wrote a contract and then put it in a earthenware jug that it should last for many, many years because there's going to be a churban, and you should have it safeguarded somewhere in a cave. When you come back, you'll be able to find it. Kadosh Baruch is telling him, real estate prices were collapsing. The country was about to be captured. Was this the time to buy land? It's the bleakest time. And now Kadosh Baruch Hu tells us, buy land. Kadosh Baruch Hu wanted to make a point to tell Klal Yisrael, you're coming back. You're going into Golus now. You're coming back. You're going to come back. You're going to build houses. You're going to build up an economy. In the bleakest of moments, don't lose your faith. And at the Levaya of the Panovich Rav, the story was told. Rav Kahneman, the Panovich Rav. When the Panovich Rav came to Eretz Yisrael and he saw the property at the top of the hill and he bought it, everybody says he's crazy. And if you think about it, it was the middle of World War II, and Rommel was coming across the Sahara Desert. He was a couple of hundred miles away from Egypt. He was heading, and he was heading towards Eretz Yisrael, and everybody knew that he wanted to get the Jews. This is not the British were destroying all their documents, were grinding up all their documents. All the big machers, all the British and the British and a lot of the Zionist leaders, they had already had the planes ready for them so they can take off to Cyprus, right? Because if the Nazis come in, it's going to be a big slaughterhouse. And here he is, he's buying land, he's buying karka in Eretz Yisrael. So he says, every nevuah was there for a purpose. Now, if Kadosh Baruch Hu put this into Sefer Yirmiyahu, it's a lesson for Dairos. What's the lesson for Dairos? Even the bleakest hour, don't lose faith in the Kadosh Baruch Hu. If Yirmiyahu can buy karka right before the Churban Bayis Rishon, I could buy karka in the middle of World War II. And we know, I gave the shmooze about the yard set of the Orach Chaim HaKadosh, how a miracle happened. And there was a sandstorm, and it blocked Rommel for 2 months until Montgomery was able to gather his forces, and they took care of them. Eretz Yisrael is a special land. Things happen here in a special way. There's a rabbi, Usher Wade. It's about Tshuva. I think he's at Or Sameach. At one time, he was a Protestant minister. He was a minister, a Protestant minister. And he was a chaplain for the American Army. He's an American born. He was a Protestant minister, and he was a chaplain in the American Army in Berlin. In what year? It doesn't say what year it was. He was in Berlin. And there was a Jewish soldier there, not religious at all. His name was Stuart. And they became friends, so you have the chaplain, the Protestant chaplain, and the Jewish soldier who's non-religious. And one day, Stuart walks in with a black yarmulke on his head. So, that's a little strange. He's not a very religious guy. Why all of a sudden he decided to put on a yarmulke? So he asked him, what happened? All of a sudden you decided to put on a yarmulke. So Stuart said, I have to tell you the story. I'm studying here. and we're cadets. As first-year studies, the cadets are enrolled in a course called History of Military Tactics and Field Strategies by a 3-star general, 3-star lieutenant general with a PhD in military strategy. The course conveys major battles of history, the Ptolemies, the Romans, the Middle Ages, the latest battles of our modern era in World War I, World War II. During the final 2 weeks of the course, they're devoted to a review of the whole material. I raise my hand. I have a question. Why don't we survey any of the battles fought by the Jews? The battles fought against the Greeks, they fought against the Romans, or today they're fighting against, we had many, many Arab-Israeli wars. Why don't we mention any of their wars? All of a sudden, the normally friendly general snapped back at him. See me in my office later. Okay. He went into the general's office, locked the door. Okay. I can only answer this question in the privacy of my office. Do you not think that the staff here at West Point has left the Jewish wars unnoticed? We have examined and analyzed them, and we do not teach them at West Point. According to military strategy and textbook tactics, the Jews should have lost all their wars. You should have been swept into the dustbin of history long ago. But you were not. You won those wars against all odds and against all military strategies and logic. This past year, we hired a new junior instructor. And during a private staff meeting and discussion, the Arab-Israeli wars came under discussion. And we puzzled, how you won those wars? How did you win the War of Independence? A bunch of Holocaust survivors against five Arab, trained legions. 1967, 54, 55 against the Egyptians, and 67. How'd you win those wars? And suddenly the junior instructor, he chirped up and he joked, "Honorable gentlemen, it seems quite clear to me. I know how they're winning. God is winning their wars." Ha 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 ha. Nobody laughed. You see, soldier, there's an unwritten rule here at West Point. God is winning your wars, but God does not fit into military textbooks. You're dismissed. So Stuart left the office. He said he had never been humiliated so much in his life. He felt 2 inches tall. I have to come to West Point to find out how great my God is from a non-practicing Presbyterian 3-star general. I went back to my dorm room. I dug in my sock drawer to find that flap of cloth that I throw on my head once a year. And I said, this thing is going on my head. I had found out where I was coming from. God is fighting your wars. I said this a few months ago. As long as we say Koichavi Yitzim Yodi, there's a big tumult. They're stupid. There's a soldier from Kfar Chabad. He was killed. He's buried in Har Herzl, and the mishpacha asked that they should have engraved on the tombstone, Hey Yud Dalet, Hashem Yokim Domov, Hashem Yokim Domov, and they refused to put it on. We don't mention Hashem on the tombstones of the Israeli soldiers. Idiots! Idiots! I'm not talking about that. It's a slap in the face to the Haredi community.
אפילו שהבנתי סטורי זה הסוסים.
Okay, לא משנה. מה לא הבנת? זה הסיפור.
No.
No, they gave in. They gave in.
They finally gave in. No, that wasn't in the newspaper.
You can write it whatever you want on the regular. They didn't want it in the regular song, they wanted it in the top level.
Whatever, give it, what's the difference where they don't want to publicize Hashem Yochim David. That's what, they don't want Hashem. We don't mention Hashem. All the generals will tell you that we don't mention Hashem. Anybody who's kafuf to the laws of Hashem, they don't want them in the army because they're not going to follow orders and they're going to do things on their own because we are kafuf to Hashem. Bring Hashem into the army. They want to know why they're not able to. I'm on tape now.
Yeah.
What?
And he's going to the army.
They're not having siyata d'shmaya because they're saying koich v'yotzim yodi and they don't recognize any of the miracles that happen. Bring Hashem into the picture and say in Yirtzeh Hashem. Just say in Yirtzeh Hashem, and then the tide will turn and they'll start having Hatzlacha.